Today, we're diving into Maza Mengiste's incredible novel, Beneath the Lion's Gaze. It takes us straight to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, right in the thick of 1974. And look, this isn't just a dry history lesson. It's our window into something massive, the end of a 3,000-year-old empire. But we see it all unfold from the inside, through the eyes of one family that's about to be completely torn apart by history.
This quote, wow. It comes from Helu, who's a respected doctor, the head of the family at the center of this story. And what's so powerful here is that it just perfectly captures that feeling when your entire world is about to fall apart. This is a man of science, of order, of reason, and he's staring into a future so chaotic that everything he knows is suddenly useless. That feeling of personal dread, that's what sets the stage for everything that follows.
So let's set the scene. Addis Ababa in 1974. The city itself is just this place of wild contrasts. I want you to picture it. Brand new, kind of ugly concrete buildings are popping up, literally crowding out these ancient little kiosks and fruit stands. The air is just thick with the sound of engines, people shouting, vendors, just constant noise and movement. You can just feel the tension simmering, It's like the old world and the new are on a collision course, and it's not going to be pretty.
And this right here, this is the disconnect that basically lights the fuse for the entire revolution. Okay, so on one hand, you've got Emperor Haile Selassie, the conquering lion of Judah. He's living in this bubble of just insane wealth, gilded palaces, the whole 9 yards. But then on the other hand, hidden away from everyone, is the reality in Wello province. It's a place of absolute devastation, a hidden famine where people are starving to death. This secret, this profound injustice, it's what's about to rip the entire kingdom apart.
So how does a secret that big start to get out? Well, it's through things like this. This quote is from Mickey, a young soldier, and he's writing to his best friend back home, a student revolutionary named Dawit. And his words, man, they're just dripping with shame and horror. For the young people in the city hearing this kind of firsthand account, it takes the idea of famine from something abstract and turns it into something brutally real. It's a massive wake-up call.
And that personal horror, it morphs almost overnight into pure political rage. This is Dawit's reaction to those letters from Mickey. He basically becomes the voice of an entire generation that feels completely betrayed. They don't see the famine as some sad natural disaster. No, they see it as a crime, a cover-up by the people in power. For them, this isn't about feeling sad anymore. It's about fighting for justice. It's about taking back their country.
And this is where you see the huge, countrywide conflict playing out right inside one family's home. You've got the son, Dawit, full of revolutionary fire. And then you have his father, Helu, who is just terrified and deeply skeptical. Helu looks at his son and sees this dangerous, naive kid. He's from an older generation, one that knows how heavy history can be, and he's just petrified of the chaos his son is trying to unleash.
And from there, things just escalate with incredible speed. It all starts in February with a military mutiny, supposedly just about low pay, but it taps into all this anger bubbling under the surface. By April, the entire government cabinet resigns. By June, this new, mysterious military committee called the Derg is formed. And then in September, the unthinkable happens. Emperor Haile Selassie is arrested, and just like that, the empire is gone.
I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. 3,000 years. We're talking about a monarchy that traced its roots all the way back to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. And it's just gone in a matter of months. This wasn't just, a new party taking over. This was the end of an entire world, a total shattering of a national identity that was thousands of years old.
And this quote from the emperor as he's being arrested, it is absolutely chilling. It just shows you how disconnected from reality he was. He's so wrapped up in this idea of divine right that he literally cannot comprehend that his own soldiers, men he probably thinks he created, are the ones taking him down. It's the sound of an entire worldview just shattering in real time.
So the emperor is gone. Who takes his place? This group called the Derg. Now, Derg is just an Amharic word that means committee. And that name, it sounds so bland, so faceless, right? And that was part of what was so scary. You go from this ancient, very visible symbol, the Lion of Judah, to this anonymous, faceless committee of soldiers who are now in charge of everything. And this is where the story takes a really, really dark turn. All that initial excitement of the revolution, the hope for a better, more just Ethiopia that had kids like Dawit out in the streets, well, it starts to sour. Fast. The power vacuum left by the emperor isn't filled with freedom and democracy. It's filled with something much, much worse.
The Derg cemented its power with a campaign of absolute brutality that came to be known as the Red Terror. And it was methodical. First, they took control of everyday life, curfews, ration cards, that kind of thing. Then, it escalated to pure lawlessness, executing dozens of officials from the old government with no trials, nothing. And finally, the fear. They started leaving bodies in public, pinning signs on them, as a horrifying warning to anyone who might think of resisting.
This quote, it really puts you right there on the streets of the city. You're not hearing this on some official news channel. You're hearing it in the shocked whispers of a taxi driver. You can just feel the raw disbelief, the sudden realization that law and order are completely gone. The new government that promised justice, it was acting more like a death squad.
And this was the brutal reality of the terror campaign. See, it wasn't just about killing your enemies. It was about public humiliation. It was about forcing everyone to see what happens when you step out of line. Being called an enemy of the people was a death sentence, and your body literally became a piece of state propaganda, a billboard of fear for everyone else to see.
The sheer scale of this purge was just mind-boggling. I mean, the novel really focuses in on this one family, but the author reminds us of the bigger picture. The Derg, which was backed by the Soviets, set out to systematically eliminate all opposition. Didn't matter if it was by execution, by throwing them in prison, or by forcing them into exile. That initial dream of the revolution, it was completely drowned in blood.
But maybe the biggest tragedy of all is how the revolution started to devour its own children. Remember Mickey, the young soldier whose letter about the famine helped kick this all off? Well, now he's a soldier for the Derg. The book describes him being forced to take part in the executions, his uniform covered in blood, his spirit totally broken. He became a cog in the exact machine of brutality he thought he was helping to destroy.
And you could literally see this massive shift just by looking at the city itself. The old symbol of the empire, that proud stone monument of the conquering Lion of Judah, it was now overshadowed. In its place, the Derg put up this huge new obelisk with a red star on top. It was a clear, five-pointed message. The military is in charge now, and our allegiance is with the Soviets. So, let's circle back to the family we started with. What did all this chaos mean for them? Well, it wasn't some abstract political event. It was a wrecking ball that smashed right through their lives. Helu, the respected doctor, ends up a broken prisoner who's seen things no one should ever see. His son, Dawit, the fiery student idealist, is now on the run for his life. A family that was once whole is now just shattered, scarred by history. There's this one scene in the book that is just absolutely heartbreaking. A little boy gets arrested, thrown into a military truck, and his older brother is watching, and he has this one devastating thought that maybe in jail, his little brother will finally be reunited with their father, who had already been disappeared by the regime. I mean, can you imagine? That's the only hope left. It just perfectly captures how completely families were destroyed.
And finally, we have to talk about the real-world cost. The novel gives us the emotional truth, right? But this is from Amnesty International, and it shows the horrifying real-world scale. During just the most violent period, the Red Terror, it's estimated that as many as 500,000 people were killed. Just an unbelievable human price to pay for a dream that went so wrong. Which brings us to the central, haunting question that this book leaves you with. It all started with his powerful, even beautiful dream of justice and equality, right? A dream that people like Dawit were willing to die for. But when the revolution itself starts to turn on and consume those very same idealists, what's left of the dream then? And that's a question that goes way beyond Ethiopia in the 1970s. It really makes you think about that dangerous line between fighting for a better world and the brutal reality of what that fight can become.